All right, we're live. Excellent. All right, this is a panel called Marketplaces Across Blockchains. The art project group kind of wrote a little summary about it that I assume everybody's read at this point, so everyone knows exactly what this panel is about. Just a quick recap. I think we're going to cover mainly the existence of multiple marketplaces across different blockchains. So that's going to kind of be the theme. We'll get into that. But first, I'm going to have the panelists introduce themselves. And we're going to start with Zach.
Hey there. My name is Zach Burks. I'm the founder of Mintable.app. We are a NFT marketplace on the Zilliqa blockchain, and then the Ethereum blockchain is coming out here at the end of the month.
Great. Okay, the next panelist is Fred from Pixios.
Yeah, I'm the founder of Pixios. We are an art technology company that happens to have a marketplace also that started on the ES blockchain. We're expanding very soon. I think interoperability and multi-blockchain is the future. And we're also paving the way for mainstream. So blockchain for us will be the authenticity source and everything to come next for all users to interact with it.
Great. And finally, we've got JJ Laxton of Ephemera. Is that right?
Yeah. So I work on product at Ephemera. We're an Ethereum-based NFT marketplace. We specialize on photography and video art.
Great. Finally, I'll give a quick introduction of myself and why I'm moderating this panel in particular. I'm Joe Looney. I guess I'd be considered an elder in the crypto art space. I've been in it since 2015, 2016 with Counterparty, which is a platform people don't really hear about anymore. And unfortunately, the Counterparty guy hasn't shown up, but I'm not a panelist, so I'm not going to talk about that. But my first question for the three of you that are here is one of the things that was mentioned in the quick summary of this panel was that it's the first sentence was, with dozens of digital ecosystems competing to deliver revolutionary products and services, and continued from there. And I'm curious because I think this is a thing that comes up a lot in this space. And I want to ask all three of our panelists to define what exactly are these revolutionary products, and why is it that we're all here in the first place? So I'll start with JJ.
Sure. So I think, like, really broadly, why we're all here is because for the first time ever, we have digital scarcity for digital goods. And I think that that's a really important idea that's never existed before. If you think about art in general, anybody can download a picture of the Mona Lisa to their laptop, and you could, copy paste it 1,000,000 times and have 1,000,000 Mona Lisas. But what does it mean to really own the painting? And how do you ensure that, the owners can prove that they own it? And before all of this technology existed, there was really no way to do that. And so for us, we're taking a type of art that's really born digitally, right? Photography, 99% of the pictures taken today start on a digital sensor. They exist as, pixels and bytes first. And then we're kind of bypassing the traditional art market where you had to print it onto a piece of paper in order for it to have value and change ownership. And now we can do that directly, digitally, and it never has to touch the physical world. And I think that's really exciting. But ultimately, it comes down to digital scarcity for me.
Great. How about you, Zach?
You know, JJ has a really good point with digital scarcity, but I think it's a bit more. You know, I got into NFTs back a little bit before CryptoKitties, when CryptoPunks came out, and since then I kind of realized like, hey, these NFTs are really powerful. What we can do with them is not just have a game item, right? I've always thought that game items are kind of a low-hanging fruit for NFTs. I have a paper published with the IEEE using them for food traceability and tracking, you know, food along the supply chain. And so one of these revolutionary things that we can do with NFTs is to be able to unlock the kind of the assets that you can use them for and utilize them for. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with Mintable. We know when our launch of our Ethereum 2 version comes out at the end of this month, we have private files. And one of the things that this unlocks is essentially a new type of asset where right now we have about 3 or 4 assets for NFTs. We have domains, we have artwork, we have well, artwork and collectibles that fall in the same category. We have domains, collectibles, game items, and then kind of a miscellaneous category, right? With a file that's private and attached to an NFT, this unlocks a new type of asset, which is kind of a utility asset, where you know, when you download the file from this NFT that you now own, speaking of the digital scarcity, you also get the utility that comes along with that, opening up kind of the door to different things. And I think that this is the revolutionary aspect, is that the flexibility of NFTs are so large that you can go from, you know, it being a lease of, you know, a property, to it being a collectible item, to it being a game item, you know, a sword in a video game. And that's a really important aspect. And that allows for kind of a flexibility along marketplaces to be able to, you know, focus on an individual niche, you know, whether it's an art marketplace, it's a files marketplace, it's a game items marketplace. And this is the revolutionary part of NFTs, is because it falls under one category. You know, it's an NFT, but it's a much larger asset class. You're muted.
I think you're muted.
All right, sorry. So I'm glad you could see me talking, because I was trying to interrupt you. So would you distinguish between an NFT, and I'm glad you brought up NFT, because that was my next question, is how important is the nomenclature that we use and the words that we say when describing these digital assets, especially across blockchains, and is that an important thing that we need to think about in general, that we call things that are the same, and that we call things that are different, and kind of where do we define the similarities and differences? And one of the things you brought up is NFTs that represent other things. Well, when the birth of NFTs was that they didn't really represent anything but themselves. So when we start to go into the realm of NFTs representing, being representative of other things, do we still need to call them, should we still call them NFTs? Should we call them something else? Should we distinguish lower categories between them? I guess,
you know,
yeah, go ahead, Zach.
Well, it's a good question. One of the things, I was having a conversation with one of our team members the other day, and we were saying that we need to have a new name for different NFTs. So first, NFTs in and of itself is kind of a bad name. It's really for us nerds, right? People that are in the NFT or the crypto space, the NFT space, and it's not the best kind of way to get adoption. What Mintable does is we just call it digital item, right? So we have a broad kind of umbrella category of digital item for any NFT. But I was having a conversation with a team member, and they were saying, you know, we need to have a distinction between art NFTs, our voting NFT, because we have a DAO which is ran by NFTs. And then like utility NFTs for like files and stuff. And so it's a good question, but it also provides complexity that I'm not sure that we need if we want to get to a user-friendly adoption level, right? Like when I go to Amazon, there's categories of items, but that's logical, right? I either want shoes or I want a TV, but you don't have to search for, is this an online item? Is this a physical item? Is this is this a downloadable file only, right? And so I think that it kind of adds complexity to do that. And I think we should kind of just adopt a digital item instead of, using ERC 721 or whatever the native standard is for whichever blockchain we're on.
Yeah, I think that those are important conversations to have, because it is very confusing. I took a quick look at each of your guys' marketplaces, and everyone seems to kind of handle what you call things a little different. I know Fred, when I was looking at your page, I saw a reference to rare digital art. Is that a phrase that you stick with, or do you tend to because I know you Pixios is built on EOS, it's not built on Ethereum. So do you even use the NFT term?
We do use, I'll explain you a little bit how we do face NFTs. So I'm collecting art for over 20 years, like traditional art. The traditional, you name it, like a bit of everything. And one of my biggest challenges was to deal with the authentication of items that they don't have a clear provenance. So you need to, like, there's a lot of legal aspects connected to it. You need to rely on a foundation when there is not, it's an artist that doesn't have an organized foundation and enough provenance information about his works, or is a very prolific artist that was spreading a bunch of drawings and sketches around. It's a pain. Like, it's a painful process, and it's an expensive process. So in Pixios, from our conception, like Pixios was born that the NFT is the certificate of authenticity. So we value a lot what is in the screen, what we're trying, and that's why I started with my introduction that we are an art technology company. Our aim in Pixios is that, like, we are able to fully verify any sort of asset that appears in the screen, and we face the NFT as the source of transferability and authenticity, provenance of the item that you're buying. So it's a little bit different, but like, we don't let's say label ourselves as an NFT marketplace, because we want to build, and we are building this layer of verifiability of the artist, of any sort of items, the monitoring of the imagery in the future, and to give the possibility of the seller to assure that that is a unique, rare item in the concept of imagery, of they are actually producing the work of the artist hand. So in Pixios, the NFT is the certificate of authenticity of the item, and we're already dealing with digitals. So we launched last month the NFC tags to generate a certificate of authenticity also for physical items. So we already have the first physical item on sale on the platform. We're onboarding more let's say physical items, and we're working also in physical collections, digital collections that are scannable. So you will keep these layer of authenticity on blockchain as the certificate of authenticity for a real item, be it physical, digital, you name it.
Interesting. JJ, I wanted to ask you, because I didn't really see any reference to any sort of NFT or anything on the Ephemera site either. It seemed to be the term tokenized artwork or art tokens, or so are you consciously staying away from using that term, or do you think it's confusing for people?
Yes. I think we are. Part of our mission is to really bring all the value that we all understand as people who understand blockchain technology to people outside of the crypto community. And I think it does start with naming conventions. So for us, at least for our use case, which is different from the other use cases here, that the NFT is the art in itself. There is not a separate piece of art. It's not a token that is derived from a separate token. It is the art in itself. And so we try to just call it what it is. It's art. So instead of tokenizing art, you're publishing art onto the blockchain, and try and use those naming conventions that people are used to. I think it helps in onboarding people. There's a hard enough time teaching someone what is Ethereum, what is an Ethereum wallet, what is MetaMask, how do you set it up? Why do I have to sign? Why is logging in not with a password? Why is it signing a transaction? And so these are the kinds of things that I think, the easier, the more the concepts can map onto concepts that exist already, the easier the onboarding process is.
Do you find that your market is from art collectors that are not blockchain enthusiasts? Is that your target, or do you see that you're having to explain Ethereum to every new person that tries to come on your platform? Because the reason and that was kind of my next line of questions I wanted to get into is who are the collectors that use these platforms? Are they art collectors first and crypto enthusiasts second, or the other way around? And I guess we can just start with you, JJ, because it seems like you're focused on the art collector first, as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, so we're kind of in a unique position where we just launched. So our official launch was yesterday. We've been live on mainnet for about a week. So for us, in terms of, we're still in that kind of acquiring users phase where we're going out there, we're meeting artists, we're meeting collectors, and I think at this point in the growth of the company and the platform, definitely we're reaching out to people who understand crypto already. But we haven't stopped. That hasn't stopped us from reaching out to people who are kind of curious or people who are aware of the space. There's a lot of people out there who have, you ask anybody, have you heard of Bitcoin? They're going to say yes, most likely. And that's if they're at least somewhat aware, they're somewhat aware of crypto art, the onboarding process, even if they've never tokenized before, they've never used MetaMask, is a lot easier. And so I think that it's going to be this, there's a lot of collectors in crypto, a lot of wealth in crypto. And I think that there's going to be this hybrid model of crypto people and non-crypto people, using these platforms together. I don't think that we're there yet for total mass adoption with just anybody who's off the street can come in quickly, buy art. I just don't think the protocols are there yet, but we're very comfortable to, if you don't know anything about crypto, we'll teach you. And if you don't, then, hey, can you help us teach other people? Can you help spread the word? Because that's the only way that we're going to really reach that point where, the average person on the street is going to feel comfortable coming onto these platforms and using them.
Yeah, I guess I agree. I think that in a lot of ways you need to become a crypto enthusiast to understand this stuff. Zach, because Mintable, I am just recently learning, has tokens on 2 different blockchains. I wonder, was that decision driven by you just wanting to branch into different blockchains and seeing that as the future of this space, or of just having a blockchain that you could try different things on that maybe you couldn't do on Ethereum?
Well, we launched on the Zilliqa blockchain and support the Zilliqa blockchain as well as the Ethereum blockchain for a few reasons. One, earlier this year with the DeFi craze of Ethereum, we were seeing gas prices that were just kind of astronomical. And what that meant was when you wanted to create your smart contract on Mintable, because the Mintable version we launched in 2018 that's live right now on Mintable.app, it is not a marketplace, right? It's a tool for you to create your NFT that you can go sell on other marketplaces. And it's going to be replaced here in a few weeks with the actual full-fledged marketplace we've been working on for a very long time. But when you wanted to create your NFT on Mintable, it would cost you like $600 in transaction fees, right? None of that was our fee. It was just the gas prices. So this was a huge issue. And, we've had gas spikes before. So we started talking to Zilliqa, which is it's a blockchain that it uses, sharding and POS. So it's a lot more scalable and it's a lot faster. It's also a lot cheaper. They're here in Singapore as well. And so we kind of opened up a door communication with them, and their smart contract technology is pretty good. and it's actually quite good. It's different than Solidity and Ethereum. So there's some benefits, there's some downsides. Each has their own ups and downs. But overall, it's quite good. And so we created the first NFT standard on Zilliqa. They have unstoppable domains, .zil domains on Zilliqa as well. That was the first domains that Unstoppable Domains launched on, was on their blockchain. But they didn't have a marketplace to buy or sell NFTs. So we built that, which was kind of our first iteration of our version 2 marketplace, right? And that's at zilliqa.mintable.app. And so that went live. That's done really well. The wallet it's like the MetaMask version for Zilliqa. They like tripled in downloads after we went live, right? Which I think is really awesome, that we can kind of track our own metrics via the wallet that you need to interact with our platform. So that was really cool, and it's still very active, right? We have a lot of domains for sale. Some domains are going for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then also, of course, artwork as well. So we did it for kind of 2 reasons. One, for offering an alternative if gas prices are too high and you just can't afford to pay, $100 to make a smart contract on Ethereum. You can do it on Zilliqa for 10 cents, and it's very fast. And then we also did it as the kind of iteration of our marketplace, right? We want to support different blockchains. Being the only marketplace on Zilliqa, it's nice to be able to kind of spearhead the ecosystem on that blockchain, right? We get to kind of have a say of like, hey, this is how the standard should go. This is what all the utility for NFTs need to cover, and it's just kind of what we do with the NFT space. We try to push the ecosystem forward, right? In 2018, we released Bash Minting, which pushed the ecosystem forward. We were the first manager for NFTs on Ethereum back in 2018 as well. We just published a EIP 2981 for royalties to accept across different marketplaces. By the way, JJ, congratulations on launching your new marketplace. I hope you guys, I hope you guys support our EIP so that we can share royalties. So when someone sells the artwork on Ethereum, or if they take that to another marketplace, the artist maintains that royalty and gets their share of what they've earned. So it's really important too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what's important what I'm hearing is what's important to you was driven by a fee crisis, I guess, short-lived or maybe a long-term issue with Ethereum. And I guess my question, and I want to give this to Fred because he's the only one that's working with EOS. I'd be curious to get that perspective. Regardless of why you picked EOS to begin with, what makes you stay with EOS? And I guess what's important to users, and is that something you would sell to them, that you're not Ethereum because that's the primary platform that everyone builds on, or just sell to them the fact that, hey, we're way cheaper or easier to use or whatever. Why do you stick with EOS?
Yeah, the thing is, first we chose EOS for the possibility of scalability of the blockchain. EOS.io gives this possibility of side chains and sister chains to grow out of it pretty simplistically. And you have already like big projects out there dealing 100% with NFT. One thing is that we don't even need to charge for an NFT minting on EOS. The transactions are free. So we're sticking at this stage because of the technology, the how scalable it is, and it's scaling fast. It's also like super fast to do everything. Like you issue an NFT is an immediate action that happens. So you get immediately your NFT issued in the platform. The other thing is the lack of standards. So we wanted to create one standard that is like built for art. So our goal was not to use an existing NFT standard with this possibility, but to keep the scarcity within the ecosystem. So our NFT standard is the Pixies NFT standard. It's not something that like allow for the generation of counterfeits in other marketplaces. It's much more secure, let's say, in the future for a collector to say that I have these NFT, and if there is something out there and it's not in our contract, it can be a fake. But the main point to stay in EAS so far, and actually we're not staying in EAS because we want to head towards full compliance. So we're moving very soon to an EAS.io network that is compliance driven, and will allow us to deal and to do whatever, let's say, we want in the tokenizing world. But yeah, mainly was the scalability of the network, the speed of the network, and this possibility to grow and to have the interoperability with multiple side chains and sister chains that may come in the future. But we're not blockchain centric. So Ethereum is in the pipeline. We've been talking with a bunch of partners, so we're not close. It's just like a moment of our development that you need to go in stages, right? We are in the beta stage of our marketplace. We're also working on our verification protocol. We're implementing AI in the whole ecosystem. We're also building a freelance marketplace for creators and clients to get in touch with them and have this whole layer of authenticity that blockchain can offer, traceability for intellectual property, for copyright, and you name it. So Pixies is a big ecosystem that is right in the beginning. So we have these dreams of interoperability and to also offer services for the Ethereum community. But EAS allows us to build fast proprietary blockchain tech to art at this stage. That's where I was sticking with it.
So JJ, let me come back to you because you mentioned you guys just recently launched. So I got to assume you're the newest of the three companies that we have here. When you hear Fred mention all those great things about EOS, that it's nearly instant and free, what made you go with Ethereum as your platform to build on when there are these issues of fees going up and usability issues that may not exist on other chains? What is it that kind of solidified your move to use Ethereum as opposed to another option?
I think especially in this space, the motivators for starting a new project, there's a bunch of different motivators. So one of them is technology driven. You're playing with different features on a particular blockchain. You're like, hey, I think I can, I think other people want to use this. So maybe you build an organization around that. The other way to kind of start an organization is with a product focus. And so for us, we were really quite clear about what we wanted to build and who we wanted to build it for. And then it was a matter of, okay, what blockchain do we choose? And so for us, Ethereum was a pretty easy choice in terms of kind of where a lot of the art market is today. I don't think that I think that we're pretty innovative in how we've, organized how users interact with each other, how there are users who can tokenize artwork on behalf of others. We call that galleries. We have other features where, artists can upload additional material called a vision board material, where they can have their studio, their muse, what inspired them to make this particular piece of art, adding that kind of visual metadata. All these ideas aren't necessarily blockchain specific. And so for us, considering the amount of resources, the users that were on Ethereum, it made it a pretty easy choice for us.
Interesting. So go where the users are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're building, it's all about, if you're kind of at the ground level and you're deep in the code and you find something really cool on an obscure blockchain and you love it, then go for it. Or even, if it's something that, even if it's you think about like the Monero project, that was a dead blockchain, and then somebody grabbed it and says, hey, I could do something cool with this. And then, today it's a big project. I think that you should never be afraid to take a technological risk. But for us, we were product people, and we wanted to, I'm trying to innovate in how people use the blockchain and not necessarily innovate on the blockchain itself. And so I think that, it was a clear decision for us.
Do you think it's going that what blockchain you use 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, if your product is successful, do you think that could change, and is that okay? And sorry, my kids just got home.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that ultimately, whether we stick with Ethereum, there's obviously going to be a lot of things that change whether we stick with Ethereum or not.
Cool. I didn't mean to. Yeah, he wanted me to pick him up. No. I think I think that it makes sense. Focus on the product, because that's what you're in control of. And I guess that leads me into my final question, because I think that should finish us off, and I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to answer. How much does it concern you, as someone that leverages a blockchain? Hold on, buddy. That leverages a blockchain. How important is it to you, or how much does it concern you that you don't necessarily build the tools that interact with the blockchain? As far as I know, I think all the projects you guys use a third-party wallet. So I guess how much does that concern you going forward? That maybe is that something that you might have to build out yourself, or is sticking and partnering with third-party wallets to interact with blockchains kind of the way to go? So I'll start with, I won't put JJ on the spot with that. Let's start with Zach.
Yeah, actually, I don't think it's too big of a concern on our part. It's kind of like saying that you're an e-commerce, or NFTs are e-commerce transactions, and it's like saying if you're in an e-commerce store, you have to be your own bank, right, to accept payments, which there's a lot of responsibility there when you do it that way. Of course, you could go the route of building your own wallet to remove kind of that friction, but there's still going to be friction on that end. One of the things that we're looking at that's on our roadmap is to, we try to abstract the blockchain out. So we will be offering another form of payment that allows for everything to still be finalized on the blockchain. And this will make it where even if you don't have a wallet, or if you don't own Ethereum, you'll be able to submit your transaction and still have everything processed on the blockchain. I think this is kind of the future of where most marketplaces will go, is they'll act as almost like a relay, right? It's kind of like when you purchase something on Stripe. Stripe is kind of the middleman. They communicate between the bank, which then communicates between the two other banks and processes that transaction. So that's the way that it probably will go down in the future, and it won't really be that big of a deal if the UX of interacting, submitting a transaction kind of changes or improves or get worse, because it should be on the platform itself to provide kind of a better means as an alternative option.
Yeah. How about you, Fred? Are you dependent on other wallet software, or are you in contact with those teams, or how does that work for Pixios?
Yeah, that's always a challenge, and we've been working heavily on onboarding. We started with a very easy, user-friendly wallets. Not all blockchain fanatics are crazy about it, because the custodian wallet, they create the ES account for you, they manage the resources on the blockchain for you, so it's pretty simple to deal with it. But we're working in like many solutions. Like, we want to consolidate as many onboarding options and payment options as possible in the platform. So we want to keep these layer of the blockchain user that is acquainted with the blockchain technology and the wallets, that can still have control of their assets and see the NFTs in their wallets on the Explorer. But we want to also offer the possibility for anyone to buy any of the artworks and collectibles that will come to Pixius with any source of payment. So right now we're heavily working on implementing and consolidating as many solutions as we can, like Stripe, PayPal, you name it.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So we're finishing up. So I won't put JJ on the spot to answer in 5 seconds. But thanks everybody for being here. I think I kept us pretty much on time. And I wish you all success with your various projects.
Thank you, Joe. It was
Thank
great
you, Joe.
to be here. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Likewise.
Take it easy. Bye.
You too.
Ciao.